What's going on, people? It's your boy John, coming back to you again with another video. How's it going? I'm gonna try and keep the voice down, okay? Because it's like almost 1 a.m. So I'm almost certain that the housemates are sleeping, or at least trying to. We are university students, so not likely, but still, gotta be respectful. So I'm gonna just keep the voice a bit down and use the somber voice, which is not very clear right now. There's a lot of phlegm and it's just a bit shaky because my hormones are still absolutely ruffled for the last few. They've been ruffled for the last few days. Literally, you could compare me to being a pregnant teenager who's also going through a breakup. You know, it's just not good shit, man. I've spoken about it in different videos, so I ain't gonna go over it again. But get on the topic. What was the topic I am? I was inspired by this YouTuber who goes by the name Renard Contini, and he's it's one of those channels which is really weird. It's just sometimes you find these channels which just hit the nail on the spot of what you're looking for, and they really just encompass everything that you're trying to find in that moment. But this guy, he has videos on every single question that I could possibly have about MBTI theory, INFJs, which is the type that I'm most interested in because I I identify most with that type, and I've typed as that type in most MBTI tests that I've taken. So there's that. But he also does videos on philosophy, and he does videos on just so many different topics. Seriously, check out his channel. I won't link it because I can't be asked to write in the description box. But Renard, so that's Ren, Renaud, Renard, and you've got Contini, so that's C, not a K, Contini. I think that's right, Contini, not Contoni, Contini. Check out his channel. Big shout out to the guy, because if it wasn't for him, I would be very lost in my life. This guy really guided me on my journey to just figuring myself out. Okay, his videos on MBTI theory, on 16 personalities, not 16 personalities, MBTI, and INFJs and all that kind of stuff. Very dead on, spot on. And any issues or hindrances or anxieties I had about my type, or issues I was facing, this guy usually had something in the video that really cleared it up for me. But I was just watching one of his older videos, because there's tons of videos I still haven't watched. So it's not a bit creepy now, but seriously, the guy's so interesting, really insightful, very intelligent. Definitely an INFJ. Definitely an INFJ. But yeah, this guy, I was watching one of his videos from a year ago where he was talking about how he cultivates NI, which is introverted intuition. And it's really funny because I never did any of these NI activities, say, for more than 6 months. 6 months prior to this date, I didn't do any of these things. The only activity I did was listening to music, listening to certain NI, with speech marks, NI music. Okay, music which I'm going to go into in a bit. But I never did activities that cultivated NI, and he went through a list of activities that he does to cultivate NI. So if I just get it out of the way first, what is NI? That's introverted intuition, and for INFJs, INTJs, it's their dominant function. Okay, it is a secondary function for some other types that I cannot recall right at this moment, but it is. So it's quite a strong function for a lot of types. I know that the ENTJ has it as a strong type, as a strong function, or it may be even extroverted intuition. I know the ENFJ has it, and I know there's a few other types that have NI as their dominant functions, or one of their dominant functions, so it could be auxiliary as well, right? So it's an important function for these types, of course, because it's their dominant function, and it's all just there. It's just there. It's always happening. It's always in the background of whatever you're doing. You could be doing any activity and it's still working. It's your dominant function. You're always in tune with it, whether you like it or not. Even if you slip into the other functions, that function is still working and it's still your dominant function. Now, a lot of intuitives aren't aware of the fact that they are an intuitive. I mean, I know they probably have a saying, I feel like there's something different about me, or I just know things, or I make bizarre connections, or I'm very deep. People have called me deep and philosophical, or I really like digging into subjects and finding out meaning behind them. Right? These are some words that I think Ni-DOMs would use. Very focused on finding out the meaning of life, or the meaning or significance behind this thing. I would say is about making connections about a certain thing, a subject, and just really going into the core of it, the crux of it, and figuring it all out from the core. That's why you love INFJs who, let's say, they become passionate about spirituality. Let me just give you an example, right? You become passionate about spirituality, so you just go really deep into it and you attack every single avenue of spirituality you can possibly find. Okay, let's say right now I'm doing Buddhism. I'm learning about Buddhism, or I'm learning about Eastern philosophy in general. But I'm also reading the Bible because they're all related in some way anyway. So, my and I will work in the sense of taking all of this information, and it's going to synthesize it with my own experiences. And these experiences will happen at moments where I don't expect them to happen. The aha moment, so to speak, that's what I'm waiting for. Sometimes it doesn't come when I want it to come, and then it comes after 2-3 weeks after I've even forgotten about that I was even looking for this thing. Now it hits me and it's like, oh, that's it. But it's never, oh, that's it. It's always like a realization. It's like, oh, that's it. When did I figure out the answer? I don't remember ever. It's like you figured it out then and there, but you didn't. You and I already figured it out, and it's just coming to your conscious mind now. 7 minutes, and I haven't spoken about how to cultivate this bullshit. Me and my tangents, man. Right. So Ni, that's basically what it is in a simple function. It's a philosophy function. It's the connection function. It's the function that is quite mystical. Works in the subconscious, but you're in tune with it. Intuitives give off a weird vibe. I give off a weird vibe. I know I do. I'm conscious of this now. I wasn't conscious of it before, but I do give off a weird vibe. Not dreamy. Dreamy is the wrong word. I definitely can get dreamy if I'm in FE and I'm explaining a certain topic that I'm very passionate about. So let's say I'm speaking about philosophy. I'm speaking about the meaning of life. I'm speaking about finding inner peace or something along those lines. I will get very passionate. I will become very dreamlike. I will explain the concept or topic in a very human way, but with a lot of color, a lot of flavor, a lot of emotion, a lot of passion. I'll really wrap it up in a nice little warm blanket and give it to the person in a very nice, soothed, pre-packaged order. But they will really enjoy the experience. So I love it. That's basically when I combine Ni and Fe, and they work like brother and sister. Only when they're not arguing, when they're actually working in harmony and unison. So, let me just stay on fucking track here because I'm forgetting the point now. How to cultivate Ni. Alright. So, Renard said in his video that he cultivates Ni by going through walks in nature, by going on walks in nature, by listening to ambient music, or ambient music, however you pronounce it. And he listed a shit ton of bands, which is going to be unique to every person, but they all generally sound not the same, but I'm assuming, because I haven't actually searched any of them up yet, but I'm gonna. They are all probably very low resonance, or low frequency, very dreamlike, very spacey, I'm guessing, and just trippy music, I'm guessing. Trippy music, which is probably what you'd listen to when you're on LSD or something, but instrumentals, they're not going to be lyrical, right? So I don't know if he mentioned anything else. He basically mentioned activities where you're not doing anything, but you do something for the purpose of not doing it. Or rather, the thing that you're doing has no purpose in itself. It is the purpose, it is the act. So, a walk in nature, for example. Meditation. He didn't mention meditation, but I'm going to use meditation because meditation is my go-to method for cultivating an eye, so to speak. And I'm not really cultivating an eye, I'm just doing it because I like it. It feels good. I like to meditate because I just like being. I just like to be. I don't want to always be doing something, you know? It's like even thinking, talking to yourself. It's an activity, it takes energy, it takes time. It's potentially even damaging if you don't want to be thinking and you are thinking, right? So yeah, so he mentioned going for walks, listening to music, and I think that was it. Me personally, how do I cultivate an eye? Pretty much the same way, but I never did these things, let's say a year prior. NI, so go-to method is going to be meditation. Okay, meditation, and guess what? Meditation. This method right here is, it's a technique, of course, it's a tool to really just shutting out the conscious mind and just to be and to let the human being do its work, repair your body, ignore the thoughts, just to be at peace. In that state, you are in NI technically. Technically, you are completely NI. You are not anything else, not any other function. You lose awareness of everything if you really just go into the unconsciousness, which is why it's very important when you meditate to stay as alert as possible, so you don't fall unconscious, you don't go to sleep. You need to stay awake, so you need to be using your sensory functions, your introverted sensing and even extroverted sensing. Actually, if you're an INFJ, your final function is extrovert sensing. So you're going to be using extrovert sensing in meditation because you're always listening to sound, to small little movements going on. You're listening to your own thoughts, of course, so that's quite introverted as well, introvert sensing. And introvert thinking, of course, as well. You are in tune with the bodily sensations, so all of that stuff, you're basically using your sensory data, right? You're interpreting sensory data. So meditation, that's one. Listening to binaural beats, that kind of counts as meditation as well in some way. But I'm going to get to what these activities all do and why it cultivates an eye. But binaural beats, that's another go-to method. If I'm too agitated, if my mind is too monkey-mindy and it's not allowing me to just rest, I will put on some binaural beats and I will just be silent. And I know that within 15-20 minutes I'll be fine. But the agitated mind just can't calm down, so I'll just let it focus on something. Usually binaural beats do the job. Journaling helps cultivate my NI because it allows me to just see the thoughts in the physical form and to see them and really analyze it and just see it for what it is rather than what it feels like. You know, sometimes a thought can feel good, sometimes a thought can feel bad. And it's in your head and you're circulating and you're like, this is great, or this is terrible. But when you write it down, you look at it, you're like, okay, it's just a thought. Why am I getting so flustered over this? Why am I letting this get to me so badly? It's just a thought. It's just a thought. What? So it allows your real thoughts about things to flow, thoughts that you're not conscious about. So that really cultivates an eye. Okay, so having a conversation with someone who's intelligent. Sorry to say that to the unintelligent people. Actually, no. Having a conversation with anyone cultivates an eye. Watching other people cultivates an eye. Being silent, I mean, that's basically meditation as well. When you're just sitting and you're just watching other people, or you're in a conversation but you're just completely present rather than in your own little world. You're just here, in the here and the now. You cultivate an eye. You're observing instances and occurrences. You're very attentive to micro expressions. You're very attentive to tonality. You're very aware of everything that's going on, but you're not judging it. You're not critically commenting on everything that's happening. You're just letting it happen. And NI flows at its best when you're not doing anything. Yeah, when you're just being. And Renard mentioned this. I'm surprised he doesn't do meditation because he used that word a lot. He used the word just being a lot in that video, which is basically doing nothing. It's your natural state. And meditation is that. Meditation is the cultivation of being. It's a cultivation of doing nothing, quite literally. So I'm very surprised, but people are different. Maybe he just hasn't come across it, or hasn't found an interest in it. Who knows? It's not for everyone, right? Some people meditate when they run. Some people meditate when they listen to music. Some people meditate when they have a conversation. Who knows how people meditate? But meditation is literally doing nothing. So many people have different ways of doing that nothing. It's up to them. So of course, meditation, binaural beats, reading, walking, journaling, talking. What else? Going for a run, of course. Going for a run is a good way of cultivating an eye, because what happens in that state is your mind just becomes very focused when you run, when you go for a jog. And if you've got music on, it's even better, because you can really just fall into the music. It's almost like the music is the only thing that's going on, and everything else is just in a very lucid awareness. But you're not stuck to it, you're not grabbing to reality, you're just in reality. What's another way? What's another way you cultivate an eye? Listening to music, of course. I haven't mentioned that yet. Jesus, binaural beats doesn't count as music for me, because binaural beats, if they've got music overlaid on them, fair enough, but you're not really listening to the binaural beats for the music itself, you're listening to the binaural beats for the binaural beats. Music in itself can be a very good way of cultivating an eye. I'm just trying to think what music I listen to cultivate it. So I listen to a lot of synthwave. I listen to a lot of ambient music. Again, Ren mentioned that. Ambient music, background game music. I listen to that a lot, or I used to anyway, not in recent years. Nowadays, I tend to just listen to lo-fi hip-hop. I like lo-fi hip-hop. And techno, but it depends, because it is, Renard said this as well, it's jumpy. It's fast-paced, it's usually high frequency, so those aren't good for cultivating an eye, because there's a lot of interference going on. I find that slow-paced, dream-like, again, music, so indie rock, background rock, again, it's just dream-like. It's like you can just fall into it. It's like a comfort blanket. You relax into it. So it's those kind of musics that you listen to, and that really cultivates an eye. Definitely gives you a lot of weird feelings, a lot of weird thoughts. It's almost like you're on a trip. You're just on a LSD or something. It's really fun. And I haven't mentioned this yet. Reading a book, reading an intuitive book, or a book about philosophy, or really anything, to be honest. Reading a book about anything, as long as you're interested in the subject matter. I mean, I could pick up this book right here, which just happens to be Marcus Aurelius' Meditations. I could read this book, and I'll open it up to a short passage. Do you want the praise of a man who curses himself 3 times an hour? Do you want to please a man who can't please himself? Can a man please himself when he regrets almost everything he does? Right? You can just read a passage of that, and you can meditate on that passage. It's going to be with you for the rest of the day, and most likely, if you're an intuitive, that message that you just read, if it meant anything to you, that is going to keep popping up throughout the rest of the day. You're going to keep seeing it in small little ways. You're going to see it in yourself, you're going to see it in others, you're going to see it in movies, you're going to see it in a fucking rock, you're going to just see it in anything. And that cultivates an eye, because you're cultivating those connections, those patterns. You're building the brain. Let's say the brain is a plastic organism. The brain cells are constantly either growing new ones, or they're losing old ones. So the brain cells, to do with intuition, or an eye, let's say, they're constantly growing for you if you're engaged in NI activities, and they're only getting better. So if you read a passage from a book, even a passage a day, dude, it's not even that much, you're already just going to start your day off with a meaningful purpose, a connection-seeking reason for being alive today. So you get to just see the world through this lens. It's really good. It's really nice. Use it or lose it, right? That's the thing, isn't it? So yeah, I think that's it, to be honest. I don't think I do anything else that cultivates an eye. I guess you could say watching movies. watching movies or watching a meaningful TV show, that's again something that you're interested in, right? So TV shows that I've recently watched. I recently finished one called Trotsky, which is on Netflix. It's a historical TV show about, you guessed it, Trotsky. If you don't know who Trotsky is, I don't know what to say to you, man. Just do some research and learn about the Russian Revolution. It's important. And I'm watching The Witcher right now, which I like, surprisingly. I like it because it's fantastical, it's magical, but it's also set in the medieval times, and it's actually very well produced. And the acting's pretty decent, to be honest. So I like that. I like the music, and I like the way they've done the whole thing. So I'm watching that, and that's about it. Again, I've said everything really. That's basically what I do in my day. I've revealed to you my grand plan. That's basically what I do. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, if these tips helped you cultivate your NI, brilliant. If it didn't, that's also brilliant as well. I mean, I don't know how this couldn't help you, but I'm pretty sure it will help you. Very useful information. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, do leave a comment, do tell me how you feel about the video, or think, or know, or want to know, right? Yeah. Wonderful human beings are very unique. And anyway, I'll see you in the next one. Do take it easy, and yes, peace be with you.